Hey folks, welcome back again to Advent of Code in F Sharp. Still day 7. As you noticed, I had a bit of a struggle exploding my jokers for the second part, but I took a break, I struggled through it, and I got my second star. So let's drop to some code, right? So the proof is in the pudding. I got my 1 star, or my second star for part 7. Let's take a quick look at what I did. To start things off, yes, I brute forced it, but it was not that big of a deal. It only took my slowish computer 7 seconds to brute force its way through all the wildcard scenarios. So yeah, I'm going to quickly go over part 1 because I forgot to do that in the previous video, and then we'll take a look at the twist for part 2. So part 1 was a lot of parsing and then a lot of scoring hands. We did some neat tricks. This was not a neat trick, but I went with it all the way. We defined a union type for our cards, which took a lot of parsing and a lot of scoring. We did something neat, or something that we have not seen before, at least this Advent of Code, which is a partial active pattern match, where you can define match arms in a separate function, and you can just smooch them together in a single pattern match, like we did right here. That sometimes makes for elegant code, sometimes it makes it really hard to follow along in our scenarios, but for this case I think it's a nice match. We just have some code that recognizes full houses, and we can just tag that hand with a full house type here, so ended up working nicely. Then the bane of my existence, regexes are the bane of my existence, and the second thing is comparison operators. I lost a lot of time on it. And then realized I could just use this generic function that's built in. But we had to compare our hands, or the types of our hands, and there was a tiebreaker, which would have been 2 seconds of work to write in C#, but it broke my brain when I had to think about this in a functional setting. So I'll have another think on that later if I want to, but yeah, we did our tiebreakers, and then we did our highest type wins thing, and that was all we needed to do for part 1. Part 2 had a very cool twist where our jacks, or jack cards, became jokers and wildcards, and they could represent any card. So when you score a hand, you could fill in anything for these 2 jokers to make sure that the best scoring hand wins, given these wildcards. And I just did the naive thing. I just generated all possible hands. So let's take a quick look at where we did this. The potential hands was a function in part 1 we used, but now I just have define hand type is where the story starts. So this is the function that takes a hand of cards, or a list of cards, and tries to figure out, is this a full house, is this a 4 of a kind, whatever. And it's almost the same as we had before with this pattern match, but there's this one line in there, or these 2 lines in there, that say okay, generate all the potential hands from this list of cards. So this is where we will be exploding our jokers. And then for every possibility, we map to the hand type, and we take the best hand type we find for all these scenarios. And I was using list.max here, and then I found out that does not work with union types as I expected. But if I use sort and then take the first element, that does work. So this whole comparison thing with union types and with the integers, this was not my jam. This was so not my jam today, but I got there in the end. Let's dive into this exploding jokers thing for a bit, because that's an interesting part to go over quickly for part 2. Here I define everything that is not a joker. I don't know if there's an easier way to list all cases of a union type, but I use that often. So if you have a quick trick to do that, shout out in the comments. But these are all the cards except the joker. And what I do in this potential hands function is I take my input cards, and then I say, okay, just go over all these cards and try to explode a joker. Again, we're using a fold. Fold is the functional bread and butter. So we're looping over every card, and we do something called explode joker, and we generate lists of lists. So the input is a list of cards, but we output lists of cards, because it's many potential possibilities. We go one level deeper, and that's why you see this weird empty list inside a list syntax. Very confusing. And because I'm doing it in a append kind of way, I have to reverse those lists, but those are all details. I don't even think that this distinct is necessary, but I thought it might save us a bit of CPU cycles. But anyway, so we are exploding jokers using a list of list approach and a fold more specifically. So let's take a look at what this explode joker folding function does, right? An exploding joker function takes my hand of cards, and it takes that we've seen up until now, and it takes the card that we're visiting right now. So that's this element we're folding over. And if it's a joker, we just say, okay, all the other cards except the joker, so that's this list, plug them into all the possible hands we've built up until now. So that's this cards thing. So we just append all other cards against all the possibilities, and if it's not a joker, we continue on. So we just mark this card as, okay, that's part of the possibilities in all those sets. So this is a very roundabout way of writing replace joker by all possibilities ways, by all different possibilities. And I think by my trouble of trying to like explain what's happening here, it's maybe not the most straightforward way, but it's possible, and you can do it in F sharp. But I already am super confused about this fold and this collect, so I don't know if it's the most maintainable piece of code I have ever written. It works though. It's not super fast, but it works. So yeah, I learned a lot about myself today. I learned that I don't like comparing, and I have a lot of problems with exploding jokers. Really fun puzzle. I loved day 2, or part 2 at least. I'm interested in how you solved it. Did you brute force your way through, or have you found a more CPU friendly approach? Shout out in the comments below, and I'll see you tomorrow for more Advent of Code in F sharp. Bye bye.